Reverend Dr. Raymont Anderson is an ordained Centers for Spiritual Living minister serving the Center for Spiritual Living Greater Baltimore community as our spiritual director. As a lifelong learner with a passion for self development, personal transformation, transmutation, and transfiguration, he has frequently been referred to as a Renaissance man and visionary New Thought leader who makes complex metaphysical concepts readily understandable and applicable. His mission is to live, move, and be an active member of society who serves to educate, elucidate, and emancipate people and communities to awaken and empower themselves. Mm. ACTIVE is an acronym that stands for authentic, compassionate, transparent, inspired, vibrant, and empowered. And he continues to live his bliss as a teacher, minister, author, workshop and seminar facilitator, visual artist, ASL interpreter, ASL performing artist, mentor, father, grandfather, and more. I like saying that part. I give you Reverend Dr. Raymont Anderson.
So Sonya was doing, so I felt like I should do it too. Get ready. Get ready. It is that time. Good morning, everyone. Happy blessed Sunday. So you ready? I certainly hope so. Because we're going to talk about what they say about money. So much of our trauma around money is based upon some old stories and myths and nonsensical stuff that they say. As someone says, it's the stinkin thinkin and the false beliefs that create all of this trauma. So today we're going to talk about what it means to apply a different consciousness related to being in a state of wonder and compassion and infinite possibilities and curiosity so that we can move forward and live and experience a new understanding and a new experience of money. So there are a lot of ways that we communicate. There are a lot of ways that we share information. There are a lot of ways in which we impart information onto others. But the question is, who are they? Who are they? They say this about money and they say that about. Who are they? And what specifically is it that they say? So, as an example, Warren Buffett says rule number one, never lose money. Rule number two, never forget rule number one. Well, I've got a question for you, Mr. Buffett. What if I am someone who has no money to lose? What if I don't have money? What if I was born into a situation of quote unquote poverty, which we're going to talk about later? I don't even have a penny to lose. So your rules do not apply. So can you give me some rules that do apply to everyone, those who have and those who quote unquote do not have? Elizabeth Warren says, balancing your money is the key to having enough. Okay, so Miss Warren, so if I have a penny and I can balance my penny, you're telling me that that will enable me to have enough? And when you say balancing your money, what are you saying? Because this quote in and of itself is not giving me enough to shift my life, my understanding of my finances and my money. So can you speak more plainly to me, especially since I may be a homeless person, one who is without a home, one who is without a job, one who is without medical insurance? How do I balance this stuff that I do not have? I don't hear you, Miss Warren. Matthew 26, 6 through 13. This is just a tiny smidge where Jesus is telling the folks, the poor you will have with you always. You will always have the poor, but you will not always have me with you. Now, why is this specifically here? Because so many ministers and pastors and clergy have taken this quote from Jesus and morphed it and twisted it in such harmful ways to imply leave the poor alone. Jesus is saying they're going to be there, so leave them. Blessed are the poor, for they let them be so they can be blessed. Jesus is not even remotely implying that. He's making a point specifically to the disciples who were fussing about the amount of money that she just spent. We pause and breathe. So, what else do they say? Well, we know this phrase money doesn't grow on trees. But Louis Grizzard has added to this. Money doesn't grow on trees. And if it did, someone else would own the orchard. Someone else would own the orchard. In other words, those people who are the 1% who are wealthy and rich. So if money did grow on trees, the wealthy would own the orchard, not the poor. Once again, the rich get richer and the poor get poorer is another thing that they say. From an unknown origin, when I told my 5-year-old that I couldn't buy her a toy because money doesn't grow on trees, she told me to just put it on my credit card instead. Breathe and take that in. Because this 5-year-old understood the twistedness of money in a very interesting way, where this thing called money, that's paper, that's coins, and this thing called plastic are not the same thing. And yet the energy of them is. So once again, if we are going to step into a new paradigm, a new consciousness of what it means to be wealthy, abundant, etc., then all of these things that they say, it's time to eliminate them so we can live drama and trauma free. So that all of the trauma and drama related to money can be healed. So when we talk about this trauma and drama, what exactly are we referring to? We're referring to all of the stress that comes up when we think about money. That could be bills. It could be, for those that it applies to, do I have enough for retirement? Because there are many. Let's think about, you have to be privileged. You have to have the privilege of employment and money in order to even think about this concept of money for retirement. And there are a lot of people who do not exist in that stratosphere of even having the privilege to have money for a vacation, to have money for retirement, to have money for a mortgage, because there are many people literally living paycheck to paycheck, that they are one paycheck away from being homeless. All of that is stress, the economy, gas prices, all of these things increase the amount of trauma and drama and stress related to this idea of money. But why? Why is all of okay, pause. We'll get there. Pause. Breathe for right now. Phil Lott says, the key to wealth is learning how to take charge of your mind. Pause. The key to wealth, we could put any other word, prosperity, abundance, we could put any word in there. The key to wealth is learning how to take charge of your mind, learning how to process your mind with what he's referring to as affirmations, studying, and releasing yourself from the major inhibitors of the mind and learning to better use, more effectively use your imagination. Said most simply, increasing your wealth is a matter of increasing the quality of your thoughts. So remember that stinkin thinkin? Are you willing to increase the quality of your thoughts so that your thinking is aromatic, has the aroma of wealth and prosperity? Are you willing to do the work to increase the quality of your thinking? So one of the things that helps us with increasing the quality of our thinking regarding money is to identify what is money. Because it's a variety of things to a variety of people. To some people, it's what you see on the screen. It's, the Benjamins. For others, they are things that have Queen Elizabeth on them. For others, they are, right, like money. But what is it? Where does it come from? I mean, like, let's really talk about, well, what is money? What is it used for? What is it made of? What does it represent culturally? What does it represent emotionally, socially, spiritually? Like, what is it? Because there are printing presses that print it. But okay, so anyone can print money? No, anyone cannot. Do not pull out your Epson or your Canon and print money. That's called counterfeit, and it is illegal. Okay, so all money isn't money. No, remember last time we talked about both are real. Counterfeit money is real. However, it must be missing something in order for it to not be used the way the Federal Reserve's, the money that they print, is used. Right? You follow what I'm saying? See, we could sit down to the Monopoly board and the money that the Federal Reserve prints, if we wanted to, we could play Monopoly, the board game, using real legal tender. We could. But we cannot use Monopoly money to go to the grocery store and buy groceries. And yet, both of them are printed. Both of them are on some kind of paper. Both of them have numbers. And yet, what is money? What is it used for? What is it made of? What is the energy of it? Because there are certain things, and it's not just with money. There are certain things. You have a liquid, but not all liquid can be used for cooking. Not all water can be used to make tea, even though it's water. Some water, the salt content is so high that it's not healthy to ingest. So both are water, but only one kind of water is more effective. Both are money, but only one kind is effective for, right? Follow what I'm saying. If we are going to shift the quality of our thinking in order to elevate our consciousness, to step into greater expansiveness of wealth and prosperity, etc., then it benefits us to really understand what is money. What is the consciousness that I have regarding it, and how do I shift that? Because the more aligned my consciousness is with effective legal tender, then the more likely I am to be able to access it and use it effectively. Eric Butterworth says, if you have not resolved the money enigma, you quickly lose your lofty awareness the moment you dip into your wallet. Right? So you might have this money, 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 money. I'm wealthy. And then you open your wallet and you're like, ooh, look at all that lint. And I got crickets in there. And like, what? So the moment you crack your wallet and you're like, where's my money? Money, 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 money. It's so empty, there's an echo. Man. And then your lofty awareness drops down to a more worldly awareness. The awareness of, I don't have, or I have lack. I want to have money. I want to have abundance, but what I have is the absence of it. So, but I want. Then we have to shift our consciousness, which means it's time for us to heal the current paradigms and consciousness we have about money. So identify your beliefs about money. What do you believe about it? Not the people who have it, about it. Don't tell me about what you think about the top 1% of the billionaires and what. I don't want to hear about what you think about them. I want to hear what you think about the stuff that makes them billionaires. When you hear about the Mega Million and Powerball and it's up to $500 million, do you immediately go into, it would be nice, but I could never, I would never, I can't. The odds are against me. The odds are never in my favor. Identify your beliefs about money. Do you believe that you don't offer a service that is worth the pay that you desire to have? Like Ray, I mean, I could teach, or I could be a life coach, or I could, but nobody's going to pay me, $200 an hour. But why not? Is it because somehow you believe that you and the dollar amount must be of equal value? What is it that you believe about money? And then begin to heal your money consciousness, meaning really break it down and say, what I believe are my thoughts. What I believe and are my feelings, they impact how I use money, how I receive money. When someone gives me a large sum of money or any money, how do I treat it? Am I grateful in that moment? Or do I immediately go into, that's all they gave me for my birthday? Well, where's the gratitude? They didn't have to give you anything, right? So begin to actually heal your consciousness around it. Find all of those, money doesn't grow on trees. Find all of those quotes, all of those rich person through eye of the needle, like all that. Find all of those phrases that are so quick to come up regarding money and affirm something different. Begin to live a new story about money. Literally begin to live a new story about money. Begin to practice a different practice about money. Bless it as it comes in, bless it as it goes out. In the same way that, Heather led us through the pre-service meditation, and there was the breathing. The same way, Marianne, there was breathing, that conscious breath as the inhale comes in, as money comes in, and as the breath goes out, and as money goes out. Consciously bless the inflow and the outflow. Consciously bless the circulation of. In the same way that air circulates, in the same way that blood circulates, we put money into circulation. Am I cutting off the circulation? Am I holding my breath? Am I breaking the flow of blood, which eventually causes my hand to go numb? Am I breaking the flow, causing my wallet and my bank account to go numb until such a point as it's no longer effective or useful? Begin to live a new story. Raymond Charles Barker says, know yourself as you are in God, thereby ceasing the incorrect knowledge of yourself as a mere person. This redefinition is essential for your health, your wealth, love, and self-expression. See, the moment we stop thinking of ourselves as, I'm a sinner saved by grace, I am just a lowly human, lowly like the dust, and you begin to recognize there is only that which is infinite spirit, and what it is I must be, and you begin to recognize I live in, it lives in, and I am it. It is showing up as me, God, spirit, universe, showing up as me. It changes my health. It changes my wealth. It changes the love and the self-expression because I no longer see separation. I understand oneness. This also is part of the healing process. Holmes reminds us, the habit of silently, and it doesn't even have to be silent. For real, if you want to do it out loud, do it out loud. But the habit of silently blessing your money as you hand it over, what I just said, as you hand it over and as you receive it, is a worthy practice, worthy of cultivating. Then it carries with it an intangible value, which will bring good back to you. It circulates the good. Learn to bless your bills as you pay them. Soon as the envelope comes in, bless it. Don't even open it yet. Bless it. Soon as it comes in, do a treatment, do a prayer, whatever you need to do. Get your mind, your mental equivalent right before you open it and see the numbers. Doesn't matter. Bless it. Then indicate the good you have received and express the faith that others have in you. Express the faith. They clearly have faith in me that I will pay this light bill, this electric bill. They have faith that I have the money to do so. Do I have the faith? Do I practice the practice in order to ensure? And yes, because we're going to get to this idea of, well, what if I don't have? We'll get there in a second. But as you bless it, you say your amen. As you pray, you say your amen. Right? Like that's how we end prayer. And so it is. Amen. Prayer works. I don't live in answered prayer. I live as answered prayer. Amen. Yes. Excellent. But the question is, what is your amen? Because we are always saying amen to something. The moment I say, Tracy, I am broke. I ain't got a penny to my name. I'm saying amen. And if Tracy says, yeah, I hear you, I'm in the same boat, we both touched and agreed. Where two or more are gathered in the name of poverty, poverty must be in the midst. Where two or more are gathered in the name of scarcity, of lack, then scarcity and lack must be there. So ask the question, my amen, what is my amen? My amen is the thing that I am saying is truthful of me. truthful of my life. I am saying that whatever it is fixed, it is stable, it is a certainty. I am saying this is what is, so be it. I am saying that this is the truth of my life. Is that what we want to affirm? Verily, I say that the truth of my life is poverty, lack, and scarcity. Verily, I say that I am certain that I am broke and poor. Verily, I say that so be it that I must continue to live paycheck to paycheck, for I do not deserve to be wealthy. Is that what we're doing? Is that what we're affirming? The absence of? Because truthfully, if we're talking about what money is, if we go back a couple of slides, what is money? Money is God. And if I am affirming, I am declaring, I am saying amen to not having it, then on some level I am saying amen. I do not have God. Amen. God is missing in my life. Amen. There is lack of love and lack of the universe in my wallet, in my cash app. I do not have. Is that the amen that we are desiring to affirm, to declare? Pause and breathe. Two different versions of the same passage, Mark 11:24. Therefore I say unto you, that everything that you pray and ask, believe that you are receiving it and you shall have it. When you pray regarding money, do you pray believing that you are receiving it? Don't pray asking for, dear God, please give me. Pray that you are receiving it. So if Tracy is offering me something, she is offering, it's already in motion, being offered. And at some point, it goes from her hand offering to my hand receiving. When you pray regarding money, finances, wealth, do you pray as though you are already receiving it? Same passage, slightly different translation. When you pray and ask for something, pray that you have already received it. You have already received it. And you will notice, you will be given what it is you have asked for. You will notice that you have it. This is why when we do spiritual mind treatment, we do it in the present tense, knowing that I have, knowing that I am, not I will get, will have. I have it now. I am it now. It is the truth now, not tomorrow, now, in this moment. That's why we affirm it in the current, in the right here, right now. You have already received it. Do you declare it from that energy? So as I was saying before, we would get to this idea of poverty, because we know that there are those who experience this thing called lack and scarcity for a vast variety of reasons. The way the current system is set up, they need to be there in order for that top 1% to be the top 1%, because it's a hierarchy. It's the pyramid scheme of, on the backs of, we hold them up. But if we're going to world that works for all, then the concept of the energy of poverty needs to change. In the Science of Mind magazine back in 1998, August, the word poverty usually conveys to our minds the idea of money shortage. But actually, the word means the lack of any good thing. Poverty is the very antithesis of abundance. And abundance of good is necessary to human happiness. It is only as we experience good that God is expressed through us. Remember, Emma Curtis Hopkins said, "My good is my God." The more completely we realize good, the more completely we realize God in all its manifold expressions of health and wealth and happiness, love and joy, the more completely we express God. That is, the more God becomes personified through us, embodied in us, incarnated as us. Holmes goes on to say, both prosperity and poverty are states of mind. If we desire to erase the thought of poverty, to transmute the thought of poverty, we must go back to the thought of prosperity and an affirmation of the allness, declare the allness of good, the allness of God, the source of which is the all that is, God itself. We are confronted with the revealing truth that poverty, in its essence, means the lack of knowledge, the lack of awareness, the lack of our connection with God. If we had a complete realization of the allness of good, our oneness with and as God, we would automatically express abundance. So, how do we heal poverty? We know God. We live as God. We express God, the good. We educate others. We change the paradigms of culture. We shift this entire idea because, as Emma Curtis Hopkins says, the idea of the absence of good is plainly spoken enough. The idea of where the good must be and is, we are not talking about as a society. Where the good, where God must be and is, we as a society are not talking about enough. We Tupperware God. We compartmentalize God. In other words, we compartmentalize our good. We separate it, we segregate it. And as long as we separate or segregate it, we cannot experience it as a society together. It's time for that to change. Reverend Ray says, today, if we choose, we can depart from the old, outdated, ineffective collective consciousness regarding money, regarding wealth, abundance, prosperity, opulence, etc. Today, we can choose to operate from the mindset of God, of the infinite, ever outpouringness of the universe. We can be the new they who say what money is and what it means to be wealthy as the living embodiment, the individualized incarnation of God. So, what will be your amen regarding this new thought about money? Our practices this week. What myths have I been conditioned to believe? Now, I'm not going to read all this because you have access to these slides if you email Tracy or I. I'm simply going to say myth number one, that the great spiritual teachers were poor and must stay poor because it is spiritual to be poor. It is secular to be wealthy. Yeah, that's a lie. Myth number two, debt and loss. So what is this? What is this idea? What is this idea? Within an infinite oneness, there can be no debt or loss. How can God lose? That means somewhere there's less God. Because, for example, if I drink my water, is there less water? Now, in the container, it goes down, but in my body it goes up. So the water is not gone. It moves from one space to another. When my money goes from my wallet to Sonya, the money is not gone. It was moved from one place to another. When my mother died 2 years ago, she is not gone. She moved from one place to another. And yet we have this idea of debt and loss. It's gone. I'm so sorry for your loss. There is no loss. There is a change of energy. There is a movement in the very fabric of creation, but there is no loss. There cannot be. So to think about this idea of debt and loss, that is a myth that needs to be healed through knowing the truth. Myth number 3, shame and fitting in. If we were raised in a shame-based home, school, church, etc., then we were raised to possibly, more than likely, have some kind of shame regarding money and sex and politics and all this other stuff. If we are going to shift this idea, heal this idea, then we need to understand what this actually means, this whole idea of shame and guilt. I feel guilty because I have the privilege of having money. I feel guilty because, or I feel shame because I'm able to buy new shoes and my best friend gets hand-me-down shoes. So I feel bad. I feel guilty. I feel ashamed. It's time to heal that. Number 2, what is one thing that I will do to shift my consciousness and actions regarding all of these words that we have been speaking about for the last couple of weeks? What will you do to shift your consciousness and your actions? Remember, live a different story. Become the new they who talk about prosperity. What are you going to do to shift and to act differently? And then lastly, number 3, have a conversation with 3 people about how the collective consciousness regarding money influences and impacts other areas of life, such as education, food security, crime, addiction, etc. How does the collective consciousness's paradigm regarding money affect various areas? And then you could throw politics in there too. And then you and those other people vision on how to heal that consciousness. And once you have visioned on how to heal it, then do a spiritual mind treatment regarding it. It's time for us to practice actively. Breathe. This week's declaration, if it resonates with you, say it with me when I say it the second time. The first time, simply feel it, hear it, see it, resonate with it. My mind is a free and open conduit of the good. If it resonates, together. My mind is a free and open conduit of the good. And remember, what did Emma Curtis Hopkins say? My good is my God. My mind is a free and open conduit of God. Breathe. Breathe as we recognize that this thing called service, while it right here and right now is coming to an end, we are recognizing that the manner in which we, as God, act upon itself, act upon one another, act upon life itself, continues and flows and circulates and moves and breathes and has its beingness everywhere we go, in every thought we think, every interaction we have with everyone and everything. Because the manner in which I interact, the manner in which I am in relationship with a $5 bill still reflects the manner in which I am in relationship with myself and the manner in which I am in relationship with God. Because there is only that which God is. And so service ends, but our relationship as the divine continues. Our service to the divine as the divine continues. And the law says yes. And so we go out into the world, living, moving, and having our beingness, telling a different story, so that someone somewhere says, I remember what they at CSL Greater Baltimore told me about my spiritual magnificence. And I said, amen. I believe what Felicia sang about my infinite possibilities, and I believed her and said, amen. We, right here, right now, get the opportunity to be the new storytellers, the new truth tellers. And the law says yes. And so, with gratitude, I stand back and marvel at the way that we show up and show out, recognizing the good that is God. That's what is true. That's what is so. And so it is. Namaste, greetings, blessings, everyone.